Welcome to Reddit After Hours. This is r/PettyRevenge, where OP gets revenge against a garbage contractor by making him the laughing stock of the entire town. Our first Reddit post comes from Boop in My Bop, titled, I just spam called my year-long spam caller. So I recently scam called my scam callers and got them to actually stop. They were calling 10 to 15 times a day, each time spoofing a US-based location, and had the exact same voicemail, which has caused me to need to delete my entire voicemail inbox like 3 times a week for the last year. This has been extremely frustrating. So many calls during work meetings, important moments with friends, and every single time the same voicemail message. Hi, this is Jennifer from the senior underwriting team calling you about your loan. Actually, I've been getting those same ones lately. Anyway, I found out on a Reddit post about this specific scam, and in one comment, a guy claimed to have scam called them back, and it actually got them to stop. So I decided, what the heck, let me see if it works. I called, put myself on mute, and hung up after 5 to 10 seconds of them talking. I did this exactly 266 times in 35 minutes. Each time, the same number. I cycled through 20 to 30 different employees with accents from Australia to India to the Mid-Atlantic, at least 3 different company names they claim to be from, and many more scripts. Sometimes they would start one script that they messed up and start on another script. Other times they would just say hello. The best was when they changed mid-script what company they were claiming to be from. Then sometimes they would say, hello, Mr. Boop. After about 150 calls, I started getting intermittently hung up on immediately after they answered the call. I knew that this was finally getting to them. Finally, at call 260, I feel like I reached the final boss. In a deep mob boss type voice, I hear, kid, and I kid you not, Mr. Bop, you've got to stop with these spam calls. I mean, seriously, you've got to have something better to do with your time. This happened Thursday, and I'm still riding this high. Oh yeah, and just for point of reference, they have not called me back since. OP, it's like you said, well, you think you're the only one that can spam call me? Hold my beer, and you beat them at their own game. Honestly, if I keep getting calls from this same loan place, because I think I've gotten a few of these in the last few weeks, I might have to try the same tactic. I don't know. I'll keep you guys updated, let you know if it works. Our next Reddit post comes from PastFace1132, titled, Refuse to order meds for my patient? Let me get the wife to yell at you instead then. I used to work night shift as a nurse. One night, many years ago, I received a patient on my unit from the emergency room. My patient was accompanied by his lovely wife. When I introduced myself to them as being their nurse, I noticed immediately that he was in severe pain. I reviewed his chart and orders, and the doctor had not ordered any pain medication for him, just written to admit him to the unit. I called the doctor, who told me that he was not going to order anything until he reviewed the patient's chart and saw them. I was confused because he did see them in the emergency room, so what was the delay? I tried to ask, but he insisted that he would be up to the unit soon, and then he hung up on me. I apologized to the patient and the wife, relaying the doctor's message. Several minutes later, the doctor actually did come up, and I asked him again for any pain medication that I could give my patient as he was still having severe pain. The doctor told me no, and then proceeded to gather a bunch of charts and just sit at the nursing station and actually ignored me. I went back to the patient's room again, apologized, and told them that the doctor was here but wanted to review the charts before making any orders. The wife, I could tell, was becoming very angry as her poor husband had been in severe pain with no relief. She asked me where the doctor was, and I gladly escorted her to the nursing station. I told the doctor that the patient's wife wanted to have a talk with him. I remember her ripping into him about the wait, her husband's suffering, and his refusal to write for any medication. He immediately apologized and gave me orders for medication that could be given to him immediately. So, in the end, yay for family members who can yell at doctors because I certainly can't, unfortunately. OP, that wife sounds amazing, and it sounds like you did a great job by bringing her to the doctor because, of course, when his, survey or metrics is on the line, of course he doesn't want to upset the patient now, but when it's his employee giving him an informed opinion on what she needs to make the patient better, suddenly his ego is too big and only he can prescribe anything. I don't know, OP, it sounds like that doctor's dealing with some ego issues, but glad for the way you handled it, and I'm glad that guy was able to get some relief. Hopefully he recovered and is doing well now. Our next Reddit post comes from Bo Sun's Punch, titled "Local Contractor Cannot Respect His Community, so his local community happily returned that disrespect." This past winter, my brother was at a local library for about 6 weeks studying for an important exam called the Ship's Officer exam. He goes there to rid himself of distractions like video games. It actually helps him keep focused, he says. He sits in the back of the library, which overlooks a small park with a small river. It has a beautiful view. There's a rotating group of nerdy guys, including myself, if I'm being less diplomatic, who hang out there all day in this section, and my brother has actually made casual friends with them. Well, the problem is there's a local contractor who comes by 1 to 2 times a day and does business over the phone in this area. I guess he likes the view as well. The problem is that he does not do this quietly. My brother is trying to study, but he keeps getting interrupted by this guy answering his phone. He says, "Romano Construction," or "Hey, Mr. Smith, Romano Construction, Mike Romano, Romano Contractors." And he's actually changed the name a couple times. My brother asked him to keep his voice down, which worked the first few times until Romano got tired of this kid bothering him. My brother then switched to asking the front desk to handle it, but they got tired of having to constantly do this. And Romano would just quiet down until the librarian left, and then the nerdy guys would tell my brother that he'd be doing it forever. And at this point, they were actually kind of getting used to it. Finally, my brother actually spent a week humbly and politely asking this guy to please lower his voice or take his calls out into the lobby. He made it a point to be very polite and stress that he was just trying to study. Romano seemed to sense his weakness and doubled down on the attitude with replies like, "Kid, go back to your books, and I told you before, I ain't got time for you." My brother had set up his laptop to record all of this. After a week or so, he put together a 3 to 4 minute video of their exchanges and posted it on 6 different Facebook groups about our town. He even made sure to make it public so it could be shared. And, newsflash, it was a hit. A couple hundred comments and dozens of shares. His poor wife was tagged in several of the posts, and several people posted it to his Facebook company page. All of those posts were quickly deleted, though. Best of all, it was discovered that he had been booted from the local Dunkin' Donuts for this same kind of behavior. Hell, one of the Facebook group chats, called Jerks of Our Town, made him their profile picture. We're actually a smaller city, about 40 to 50,000 people, and no shortage of Karens, so poor dude got with it on both barrels, for about a week anyway. My brother told the nerd group what he had done to have their phones ready when he returned. They all loved the video. He was honestly like a rock star for a couple of days at the college. About 4 days later, Romano finally came back to the library. My brother held up his phone and did and then about 2 to 3 other people did it as well. Romano was hot, but checked himself when he saw that he was being filmed by several people. Unfortunately, he was not apologetic. He just kept repeating that brother has affected his business and he was trying just to conduct business and he needed a place to conduct business, etc., etc. My brother said, "I think you owe all of us an apology." Romano looked around at the group and said, "Okay, I'm sorry." My brother said, "Thank you," and Romano walked away. After about 20 to 30 feet, Romano turned around, saw my brother still watching him, But the phone was on the table at this point. So at this point, Romano shot him the middle finger. He never came back to the library, though, and my brother passed all of his exams, but just barely. I'm still not sure exactly what getting it with both barrels means, but hey, good on you for getting back at this absolute butthole. How much of a jerk do you have to be to get kicked out of a Dunkin' Donuts? Like, who gets kicked out of a Dunkin' Donuts? And then you go to a library and you're all loud conducting business as if like you're the most important person in the world, like almost like, hey, I'm Mark Cuban, like look at me, everyone, I'm conducting business. Like, dude, get over yourself. No one cares. So great that you guys were able to get back at this butthole and humiliate him in front of the whole town. Good for you guys. But OP, if you ever see this, I will pay you for that video of him acting like a butthole for 3 to 4 minutes. I think all of us would love to see that. Our next Reddit post comes from Lawless Lady 63, titled, "My junior high bully ended up massaging my butt." So I, a 55-year-old female, have been having some issues with my sciatic nerve and made an appointment for a massage. My usual therapist was on vacation, so I had someone new. Let's call her Sarah, which is a pretty common name where I'm from. She was great, and she did a really great job. No complaints about her skill, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I knew her. She looked familiar, but I just couldn't place her. We did the usual question thing like, do you live around here? Where'd you go to school? Etc. And didn't come up with a common denominator because we only went back as far as high school. I should also explain that she didn't recognize me either, nor my name, because when I was in school, I went by my nickname, and as an adult, I was using my full married name. So instead of D. Jones, I was now Diane Smith. So there was no way for her to recognize my name. When I was in junior high, though, there were 2 girls who were best friends and absolute bullies to me for some reason. Let's call them Sarah and Donna. I'd get shoved, hit, punched, and worse, and more than once had my books knocked out of my arms. Teachers never did anything, and my years at junior high were absolutely miserable. Fortunately, we ended up going to different high schools. Now, back to my massage. When the massage was over, I got dressed and went to pay. That's when I saw the receipt with her last name on it, Sarah Brown, and it all fell into place for me. Sarah came out to check on me and handed me a bottle of water and told me to soak in the tub with Epsom salts. I wasn't going to say anything. It was such a long time ago, but I just couldn't help myself. She had traumatized me. So I said, "So, Sarah, I just saw your last name on the receipt and realized where I know you from. When you and Donna were terrorizing me in ABC junior high school, did it ever cross your mind that one day you'd be massaging my butt?" Then I told her, "You would have known me as D. Jones back then. Give my love to Donna." And then I walked out, leaving her stunned with a crazy look on her face. I know it was petty, but I just couldn't help myself, and I had to tell the story to everyone. Ah, how the tables have turned, and now she's standing there handing you a water bottle, hoping that you tip her at the end. That is glorious, OP. I'm not sure if that necessarily is like petty revenge or not, but either way, I'm super happy for you. That's like that feeling of like going to Subway at 50 and seeing your high school bully in the same town as they like went to high school in, making you a Subway sandwich and like looking like they just absolutely hate their life. So good for you, OP. I'm so glad you got to experience that. Our next Reddit post comes from PSY Trans Dude 99, titled, "Steal My Commission? Fine. Enjoy doing my work while I work as a consultant." So my first job was a retail job selling audio and TVs. I worked at a store that is basically like Walmart. The numbers represent what I made in US dollars. I also worked in a third world country too, so some of the numbers may seem lower than you would expect. So we made commission only and worked on the retail floor. While you had a basic pay, it fell away if you went over in commission. So if you were basically above $500, you made about $550 of commission, you would get a larger number. We also got paid a pension and medical insurance as per law in my country. As a salesperson, I also had to set up displays, do stock count, restock shelves, and do pricing. It sucked, but it was part of my job. I also had to make sure that I sold stuff to make money all at the same time. Side note, I was actually really good at making displays and restocking and all the admin. In fact, my OCD and ADHD meant that I was almost too good at this. This meant, though, that my sales sucked a lot. So I worked with this guy called Lorenzo because, well, that's his name. Now, this dude was a shark. He would steal sales and hijack other people's customers, dispute sales, etc. Basically, he would do anything but the admin tasks. So basically, he just sold and sold. Then one day, I sold a really expensive TV and audio combo that made me $300. Basically, a big chunk of change for me. Now, I was super happy about this and I wanted to go enjoy my weekend. But I came back Monday and then I discovered that my sale got reversed and put into Lorenzo's name because it was, quote, his customer. So basically, I just lost that entire $300 and I couldn't even dispute it. I was freaking livid. I decided that I was done with this job and everything else. So I went to the manager's office and I ended up quitting on the spot. I signed all the papers and I just walked out, all before 9 a.m. Monday morning. Now, all of the admin stuff had not been done. So pricing, stock count, restocking, display making, and adjusting, because Lorenzo just never did it. So I just left everything like it was. As one can imagine, Monday was a really messy for them after a long weekend. I got a panicked phone call after that from my manager the following Tuesday morning saying that he wanted me to come back because all of the admin stuff wasn't done and corporate was on his ass now. Long story short, I agreed that I would help if I could come back as a contractor where I get paid benefits, a pension, and a generous hourly rate. It ended up working out to 4 times my basic salary at about 1/4 of the hours. So basically, I got paid $2,000 a month to be a subcontracted manager. He and I agreed on the terms, and I got back to work on Wednesday. This is where it was beautiful. I had to be the one to train Lorenzo to do everything and document where and how he made mistakes. I didn't even have to get my hands dirty at all. All I had to do was direct and tell Lorenzo how and where to put things. I worked from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. and I got the weekends completely off. So seeing Lorenzo struggle was brilliant to me. Listening to him complain and moan was also very heartwarming for me. While he worked, I would just take out my laptop, sit at the desk overlooking the floor while I played video games and did whatever I wanted, all while supervising Useless. He ended up moving to another store about 6 weeks later because he just hated the fact that I was on his arse about everything. In the end, I got rehired full-time, basically being a trainer and a subcontract manager. I was hired by corporate / the head office, though, not by the store that I worked at for a year and then moved on. So long story short, don't mess with the guy that ends up doing all the heavy lifting. OP, Lorenzo is such an idiot. He had it made. You were doing all of the admin stuff and he didn't have to do any of it and could have just sold and sold and sold and not had to do any of it. Now, even though he went to another store, he's gonna have to do the admin stuff because I'm sure he's not gonna find anyone there to pick up the slack like you were. So good on you, OP. It's always hilarious to hear when people leave and then come back as a contractor for like quadruple the money. You love to see it. So I'm happy for you, OP. I hope wherever you are now and whatever you're doing now, you're making even more money. That was Reddit After Hours, bringing you r/PettyRevenge. Thank you all so much for listening, and if you like these videos, like and subscribe as we post a new Reddit video almost every single day.